Welcome back. The show is Daybreak on Citizen TV. The segment is Bulls and Bears. The discussion is about small-scale traders, and they are here, right here in studio. Traders who offer different goods, cookware, shoes, you name it, they supply, and they say they're facing a lot of issues. We've been hearing some of them just before the break and even during the break as well. And so before we take comments from the other row, let's take a look at an SMS that has caught the attention of some of our guests here today from engineer, is it Engineer Lazaro who put that? Let's put that SMS up on the screen. Okay, not yet. It's not ready, but they basically said, how can we move from what is effectively small-scale importers to small-scale manufacturers? And I just want to get a comment from someone who says that they have had a big problem trying to manufacture products in this country because of the time it takes to get permission from KEBS to be able to sell those products. Let's just hear it in her own words. Briefly, please, your experience.
I'll talk about the manufacturing in this country. Maybe you have a product of your own, and for you to be able to send it out in the market, you have to get the KEBS approval. So you take samples to their laboratory, and it takes ages before you get the approval.
What does ages look like?
Like 3 months. 4 months.
What kind of stories do they give you? Do they have standards for the product that you're manufacturing? What causes the delays?
They just tell it's still in the lab. We're waiting for feedback.
That's
so,
all.
Yeah.
You don't get any more information.
Yeah, so you have to keep on waiting, and you keep on waiting and waiting.
Wow.
Interesting.
Okay, that sounds quite frustrating. Maryanne, and of course, Mheshimiwa, I know you want to weigh in on this as well. Your reaction to what she had to say, but more importantly, the challenge of getting funding beyond the traditional sources like banks and credit organizations. What advice would you have for them?
Yeah. I think for me, the reason that message caught my attention is I think that's where we should actually be spending our energy on.
Okay.
And it's part of the, the Big Four agenda as well, manufacturing. The entrepreneurship that's going to create jobs is not the one that is small and designed to stay small. And usually when you import, you're only creating so many jobs. But when we start to manufacture our own products, we're creating jobs right from raw products where we're sourcing, if it's farmers, all the way to transporters, to aggregators, to the manufacturing company itself. That's where the jobs are. And I think it's important for us then, as government, as academia, who train the engineers and the entrepreneurs, I think that's where we should all have a round table and have a conversation around where the gaps are. And when it comes to funding, for example, the funding that you'll get for banks is not going to fund you prototyping something, for example. And that's where we need to start talking about different sources of funding. Family, friends, high net worth individuals. Let's stop putting our money in real estate. It's great,
for goodness sake.
We are packing capital. Let's fund entrepreneurs to prototype, design, and scale industries. That's where the jobs are going to come from.
But sometimes even those high net worth individuals do not want to fund young people. Like
risky.
Yeah, they say it's a very risky investment.
Yeah.
So how do you connect that link between the young person who has an idea or even wants just more funding to expand their business and these high net worth individuals that you're talking about?
Yeah. And not to take a jab at the youth, but we're a regional network. We've done some work in Uganda, for example, where the most successful entrepreneurs are actually those that have worked for other people first. So what that does is you get skills that make you more, commercially viable to a funder, for example. So even for young people, as we speak about entrepreneurship, I think working for somebody else, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It actually makes you learn and sets you up to become a better entrepreneur.
What criteria does Aspen, for example, use? Because I know you fund entrepreneurs. What criteria do you use? Can I just walk in and say, I have a plan and I want you guys to fund me, and would you do it?
Yeah. So we don't fund entrepreneurs, but we're a network of organizations that some of them do fund entrepreneurs. Yeah. And some of them say, we'll only fund agriculture because we believe that's where impact is. Some of them will only fund renewable energy. So it's a whole, spectrum. We're sector agnostic ourselves as a network. Yeah. And I would invite, people to look at our website and just see what sort of organizations are there and the different criteria they employ.
Go to Google, type Aspen, East Africa.
andiglobal.org.
andiglobal.org. Okay, I believe they've noted that. Mheshimiwa, a brief comment from you before we take the next row.
Probably my main point of concern has been the delay in certifying innovations in the country. We know for the past 2 to 3 years there has been problems at KEBS, and as a Committee of Trade, Industry and Cooperative, together with the ministry, is something that we are discussing with. Last week we started the process of reviewing the Standards Act to enable it to be in tandem with the new constitution and realities in the market. I believe in the next few months to come, would have addressed those institutional challenges so that KEBS can move with speed and approve innovations. I sincerely believe, as a leader, and even as the committee in Parliament, that we will not grow this economy by imports.
Will not grow this economy by imports?
Never.
Okay.
Never.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa.
We have to move away from imports.
Before we take the first comment, we actually have a phone call. Peter from Muranga? Joshua from Muranga, who is actually a familiar voice on this show. Joshua, a brief question or comment today, please. Go ahead.
My question goes to Mheshimiwa.
Yes.
I think what my colleagues are talking about is a problem that can be sorted out by our governance. I know what is ailing this country in terms of small businesses is there is a lot of imports coming to the country, such that the manufacturing industry has literally crumbled. Now, when I see my Mheshimiwa from Funyula lamenting on the problems facing the SMEs, I ask myself, what should we do what I've seen in other countries? I've been to Tanzania before, Trevor, and when Magufuli came into power, they stopped imports of most of the goods that can be produced in Tanzania. I remember there's a time our very own Brookside was stopped from exporting to Tanzania, and they were told that if you want to capture the Tanzanian market, come and set up industries here in Tanzania. Why can't our Mheshimiwas go into Parliament and pass a law that will curtail imports on things that can be manufactured locally, and again give incentives to people who want to invest in Kenya, so that number one, we can create employment. Number two, the small SMEs can now get the goods that they want to sell cheaply from within the country. And finally, I want to focus my complaint to the SMEs themselves. As much as they always want to complain about what is not happening, I think the whole scenario has been caused by poor governance. When it's the same SMEs that most of them, sorry to say, who import fake goods, they are the same SMEs who will want to evade taxes. And when their containers and goods are impounded, we come to the TVs to lament and complain. I think if we can fix our problems as a country in terms of governance and value system, I think we will be having most of these problems. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you. Joshua, you're firing from the hip. That expression is taking no prisoners in this discussion. Do we get him to respond?
Yeah, we can get Mheshimiwa to respond directly.
Thank you, Joshua. Probably he has hit it straight on the nail on the head. Kenya's played the good boys. Want to accommodate everybody, want to play by the law because we belong to the East African community, we belong the free trade area and everything. We have wanted to play according to the law and the rules. And that has continuously hurt our products in this country. To a point now, for example, we cannot export most of agricultural products to Tanzania because Tanzania is trying to operate a protectionist policy. For us as the big boys in the East African community, unfortunately, we must try and play around to accommodate our neighbors so that we don't disrupt literally the relationship that we have. I know my colleague in our trade committee, Django, the MP for Thika, has brought an amendments to the Small Enterprise Medium Act to basically try and limit the amount of things that can be imported in this country. So we are trying to process that particular bill in support by the entire trade committee so that we say things that can be produced in this country should not be imported. Even if they are imported, the tariffs and the taxes must be so high so that by the time they land in this country, they are out of reach for most Kenyans, or a Kenyan would prefer to buy a local manufactured. For example, what explanation do you have by importing a wheelbarrow? Yet, when you go to Kikomba, you go to Kamkunji, those are things Kenyans can fabricate. What business do you have by importing a cooking pan, a sufuria, if those things can be panel beaten in Kamkunji and the rest? So this is a debate that we must engage ourselves while protecting the existing SMEs that in the business of importing, but we must also now start taking a process where we say that some things, they are good, yes, they could be cheap, but some of them are as a result of dumping. Okay. It has been run out of fashion in Europe. You come and dump them here and pollute our environment and mess up our environment. All right. We must really go back into our own production.
Sam, briefly, I'd like to hear what you spoke about in State House with the President concerning incentives, because Joshua has brought it up as well. Incentives for the local manufacturers, the small SMEs, and the people who are just starting out. Was there any conversation around that?
The issue that we have been having with small medium entrepreneurs is representation. because, like, for example, you're talking about funding here. It's very difficult for an individual, and Madam has said here, for an individual to go and get funds. So we decided to have an association that is countrywide. We can be able to negotiate from the government front on how they can be able to get finances, even going further, or even getting international borrowing. Yeah. So if we can be able to structure our association, which we have, and bring everybody on board, they can even be getting money, you know, easy loans from the platform. The other thing that we discussed with the president is that, can we have representation in every boardroom that is talking about small medium entrepreneurs? Because every policy that they are making, we should have first-hand information and first-hand communication from the government, from the boardrooms, directly to the small medium entrepreneurs.
It's interesting that you've raised that, because I imagine if the bill or the amendment that is proposing goes through, and these traders don't know they will suddenly find that the products that they are able to easily bring in, they can no longer bring it, and they will complain.
We have
gone strike.
We will.
You will? Oh, you will? Okay.
Yes, we will. Because the issue with the government is that for a very long time, they have not brought the stakeholders. We are strategic partners with the government, and they are supposed to take us as that. We are as big as KAM, we are as big as KEPSA. The only thing that we have not been able to do for the longest time possible is to bring every entrepreneur on the table. Now that we have representation in this country, let's make sure that we have first-hand information, even from like the bill that they are bringing on board. Let's have people interrogating that before they bring it.
So you don't even know that bill exists?
No, we don't even know that bill exists.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't know that bill exists. There has to be clear communication from the government front, and that dissemination of information many times is distorted. Let me give an example with KEBS. You find that KEBS, there was an information that they had burnt second-hand spare parts. But when you look at their document, it's not so. So you find that dissemination of information from their boardroom to the small medium entrepreneurs is wanting. Yeah,
it's not getting there.
Yeah, it's
I know we have some feedback, SMSs and tweets. We'll take a look at them shortly, but let's now get the second round of reactions from our audience here. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning. My name is Peterson Wawero. I'm a founder of Shupavu Wheels. I'm a car importer, affordable luxury imports, and an official of the Kenya Auto Bazaar Association, and a ground forces member. And my question goes out to the parliament and the policies. When a hyena wants to eat its kids, it accuses them of smelling like goat. Isn't it? Now the hyena in this point is the government. How does it want to eat its kids? Number one, through policies. And I want to touch on the issue of policies. And I want to ask the cabinet secretary and the trade committee that is not in touch and blank, totally blank when it's coming to policies.
Please keep the mic.
Totally blank with the policies that they are coming up with. For example, when they came up with the policy of the 8-year ban on vehicles, it was not only 8 years, it was 5 years, then 3 years, then 0 years. But we, as the Association of Car Bazaars, we are well represented. We were able to come out and tell the government, no, this is not the way, and we are well represented. The ban was lifted for the next 5 years. Then what after 5 years? Then the question I really want to ask, and I really want you, when I'm MP, to take this question to the CS, is the issue on pollution. Our cars, and that's why everyone here who's speaking about policies, and this is a very big policy, he touched them, and they're using KEBS as a policy maker to say that our cars that we are importing are polluting the environment, where else their cars, the Isuzu cars, the Isuzu cars, the GM are Euro 2, and us, according to the Euro standards, are Euro 5. And it's a document that is available, and I can present it when needed. I can present this document. Our cars are Euro 5. So when a minister and the government comes up with policies that allows foreigners to just benefit the foreigners, and us as small-scale individuals, where do we go to? Where does the government want to go to? So I want to tell the government, and I want the government to be very, very specifically to produce policies that are going to help us.
Okay.
As small-scale individuals.
Can you briefly handle that, Mheshimiwa, before you get the next reaction?
Yes, I think the issue of the limits to the car importation, as much as it's well thought out, the problem, as they have mentioned, was the issue of public participation. The Constitution is expressly clear that before you initiate any process or any policy, there must be adequate public participation. But the question we have had, the challenge we have had in this country, we have no framework for public participation. I can as well call a few friends, sit down in one room, and say this one was here, said this and this, and then we collect that, then we call it public participation. But on the issue of car importation, as we, again, the thinking all along is that let's try to bring jobs back home.
But we are creating 2.5 million jobs, Mheshimiwa, over the 12,000 jobs you want to create. That's why I'm saying, and I'm going to repeat this again, the leadership, including yourself, are not in touch with the small scale skill traders. These people here have created so much employment that you have no idea of.
Do you have any sort of representation? That
yes, we do. I'm a member of the Kenya Auto Bazaar.
And what do they say?
Do you know how many people we employ per year? 2.5 million.
Okay.
Who did that survey? Who's counted those now?
Yes, it was accountable. We have all the documents. It was done professionally.
And the government is telling you they want to create 12,000.
They want to create 12,000 jobs vis-a-vis 2.5 million jobs. Each and every small scale trader here has employed over 5 people in their shop.
It's true.
The Chinese is coming as one person. You mentioned Chinese, right? Yeah. The Chinese is coming as what? One person with bulk trading. Bulk. Anakuja natoa watu 10 kwa biashara. Anakuja natoa millions of people in the business. So that's what Mheshimiwa is saying here, and I'm just looking at him. I'm wondering, what kind of people are we putting in power?
Thank you. Let him respond.
Let him respond.
Probably.
Go ahead, Mheshimiwa.
I did want to engage the Kenyan voter, but the thinking is we have two chains here. We have the manufacturing, we have the distribution. We appreciate the 2.5 million jobs that have been created in the distribution network. Here we are talking about assembly, because eventually the assembler is not going to become a retailer or a reseller.
You see, he's going back now.
Let him finish. Let
the assembler assemble the equipment, the vehicle, and then there is a requirement that 30%
that
content.
Discussion
Let him
ended.
finish.
My question was this, and it was very plain. It was not about assembly, manufacturing, blah, blah, blah. My question is this: why are you guys giving policies that are hurting the small-scale traders? My question is that, where do you come up with a question of pollution? That our cars,
let's
the cars that you drive, Mheshimiwa, ile gari unaendesha najua, is polluting the environment.
Let him respond. All right, move the mic to the next.
Move the mic to the next person. Go ahead, Mheshimiwa.
Fine. I think your point is noted. On the issue of the pollution and the rest, I'll pick up with the relevant, the Committee of Environment. I think is the one that is well placed on that matter. Then we can pick up with the Cabinet Secretary, give her the specification of the vehicles that we are reporting.
So you're promising to talk to this?
Yeah, that one will pick it up.
All right.
Hold on to the matter.
We'll
share. Yeah, we'll share.
Talk after this.
Let's bring in Michael.
Yes.
Michael is calling from Kibra. Michael, good morning. What's your comment or question?
Hello.
Yes, Mike.
Yes, my comment first and foremost is that the program that you have introduced on Citizen, where all of us can be able to participate, is a very good program.
Thank you.
It's something that we should be able to actually go for. That's my comment. Number two is that what we are lacking in this country is the system. The people who are in the system do not know what they ought to do. Just like the other guy has been asking the Mheshimiwa, can you, if he could be able to answer based on the question that he asked him concerning the pollution. Hello?
All right, yeah, we can hear you, Mike.
Yeah, so this is my two issues, actually, which the nation needs to be able to respond on them. What I mean to say nation, I mean the government needs to respond to that.
Okay.
Number three is that we always come up with laws where we Kenyans don't participate. They come up with Duma issues, we have not participated. They just rule on us. Are we in a dictatorial country or we are in a normal good country?
All right. Thanks, Mike. Mike is still bringing up the same issues of public participation and having laws that are for the benefit of the people. You wanted to come in? Start with your name and your concern.
My name is Mboro Maura. I'm in the electricals import business. Now, I have several issues. Probably I'll start.
Several.
Can be
more than one.
summarized.
Go ahead, okay. Briefly, please.
And I'll just take you through briefly. I'll start with the timing. It takes ships or the ones carrying containers a maximum of 25 days to cross over the sea. But from Mombasa, and we have the SGR, we can see the impact of the SGR. Goods take 6 months for us to receive.
6 months, plus 25 days on the seas.
Exactly. So I'm just trying to pose a rhetorical question. If it takes 25 days for a ship to cross over the sea, why should it take more than 10 days for us to receive our goods? The next issue is on consolidation. Most of us are small-scale traders. We cannot be able to fill a whole container. So I have my friend here who deals with utensils, electricals, hardwares, and engineer, I think,
all manner of products.
All manner of products. And the government is trying to bash consolidation, saying that consolidation is the one that is causing all these problems of delay. So how can we be able, which policies can be put in place so that we can have honest clearing and forwarding agents?
They say that under the guise of consolidation, some traders sneak in products. Range Rovers are registered as pro boxes in a consolidated box, for example.
I'll bring you to my other point. There's the certificate of conformity that is issued when goods are given in China. This is to verify these goods are okay. These are companies that have been contracted by the government to check standards and confirm that these goods meet the standards before they are shipped from China. How does it become that these goods, upon reaching Mombasa, these goods are then tore down from the containers and these goods are inspected again? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Probably I'll touch on my next issue of unemployment. My brother said we create a lot of jobs, which is very true. In the Mitumba side, our side, when these containers come, they're beba guys. Kuna watu wa kubeba, kuna watu wa troli, kuna watu wa mkokoteni, kuna mtu atakuja Bela peleke Kitale, and all of it, those are jobs created down the line. So when the government says it is trying to create jobs, I think you should also appreciate that we are creating more jobs than the government is doing.
We'll have him respond to that, but also I want to engage you on one final thing before we take a quick break. You spoke about consolidation and COCs. Have the business people themselves considered having groups such that you know that myself and him will bring in this different stuff and we have our verifications, this our standards, our container is clear? It's like a zoning of some sorts, like it's done in the tea sector. Is that a consideration that you have so that we run around and get solutions as well, not just bash the government?
Okay, some of us are doing that, but also other people are not able to do that. Even if we are able to do that, probably my few colleagues in the electrical side of business, we have to give a clearance and forwarding agent for him to facilitate all these things.
So that is another cost on you.
Which is another cost. And it's quite challenging because some of them are not authorized by the KRA, as we've come to know. So our goods are getting lost without even us having an idea of even where to trace our goods. Lost and destroyed and burned.
Lost, destroyed and burned.
Yeah.
Okay. Because of time, can we get one comment from the next gentleman and then we'll take a break, then we'll come back and give the panel a chance to respond to what you've had to say?
Thank you.
Start with your name, please. Go ahead. I'm
Wenina Shakes from Gikoba Market. I would like to ask Mheshimiwa, because we have heard for a long time about the Chinese, and says Fred Matiang'i tell us that they deport them to their country. We have the problem facing us in Gikoba Market because you can see a Chinese walking around and hawking around the Gikoba Market. And some of them, you can find them in the store selling very freely bills one by one. How long take for the government to take an action? Because we have been listening this story for a long time, and this is the way to the government is doing to kill our business, because we have been pinged down by day by the government. Okay. To you, Mheshimiwa.
All right. Mheshimiwa, you can respond to that, and then we'll
probably let me pick up the last point, and I had picked it much earlier. I totally agree with the traders that Chinese should not be allowed to do small jobs in this country. Let them bring the expertise that we don't have. What we have, we don't have no problem with people selling goods of whichever nature. Traders we have. Probably something that we need to pick up with the ministry, issue of work permits. If you are seen to do work that were not supposed to have been done, the work permit should be cancelled and put on the first plane out of this country. On the issue of the COCs and inspection, again, I think also we need to appreciate, as I said earlier, KEBS had an integrity issue, an issue for some time, and therefore those people they licensed for COC seems to have issues of integrity. There's a legal lacuna, which I think we are trying to address. There is the new act coming up, Kenya National Accreditation Services Act. Once that becomes into law, we'll literally address these issues concerning the licensing and the verification of goods before they come in. On the issue of consolidation, indeed, I think that's some matter that has to be dealt with the KRA. We have to register these consolidators. I think, in my opinion, the problem bedeviling the import business by the small-scale traders emanates from consolidators. Once we are able to address the consolidators, this issue of contraband, illegal goods, and misdeclaration should come to an end once and for all.
All right. And so we are going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we'll still take the final round of comments from our traders here and find out their concerns and have a lot of response from our panelists as well. But there's a lot of feedback coming through on social media. We're going to put up some of them right now. 22422 is the SMS line. The hashtag you're using is Daybreak. You can tweet at Citizen TV Kenya, Trevor Mbija, Twaiga Mora, Zinzi K. Bring them up right now so that we read them before we take a quick break. All right. SMS, first one, Nixon Dugire from Kindaruma says the whole process of importing, clearing and forwarding should be fully digitized under the relevant ministry with query processes and USSD codes for counter checks.
All right, let's take a look at another one here. Shadrach from Roysambu, the delays of the containers at the port has inconvenienced a lot of us. Customers will not understand that your stock is stuck somewhere. The government should have a limit set as the maximum number of days taken to process and release containers. And we had invited Ministry of Trade representatives, etc., to join us for the program, but they did not. Those have been questions to pose to them.
Exactly, and we don't leave a name here, but you say KEBS should issue handbook available to the public containing details of all acceptable standards so traders know what is allowed before they purchase goods, since standards are different in different countries. The handbooks should be available at all KEBS offices.
That's actually a very good idea, really helping with public participation. Another anonymous viewer who has sent in a message. Hi, I'm a small contractor. Last month I imported a 20-foot container with goods valued at 3 million, had a C of C which I paid duty of 1.6 million cash, yet PVOC department at KRA kept my container for almost 12 days. Reasons? Comparing prices with other imports. I was forced to pay storage charges. Wana Sam will help us talk a bit about that when we come back.
Lillian says, which law governs or regulates shipping agents? They hike shipping charges every now and then. Last year, CBM was 28,000. Right now, some agents are charging even 100,000 plus. How do they expect common mwananchi to survive in business?
Wow, it's like the SMSs are coming from our audience here. Devere Mwangi says the issue of consolidated goods is complex because small traders are caught up sometimes in situations beyond their control. KRA and shipping agents are one parcel, which come when it comes to avoiding tax, I think. Okay, let's take a look at the next page. But small traders are being caught up in a technicality when companies doing COC refuse more than one different product to be loaded in the same container. This is more of unseen interested forces pulling strings behind the scene. So some sort of conspiracy there by Devere.
Immaculate from Rongo says, as a consumer and a nutritionist, I'd rather have KEBS take all the time necessary to back a product rather than have food products in the market that are unfit for consumption.
Okay,
all right,
response
interesting
to,
view there.
Okay, wow, Michael Onimbo. I've just had breakfast and my matchbox is from South Africa. Very sad.
All right, interesting.
And we make matchboxes here.
Yeah, let's go online and see what you're saying on Twitter. Interesting perspectives there from several of our viewers. Francis Kigondu says the government must balance between protecting Kenyan-based manufacturers and the small businesses dealing with imports. The system should be streamlined to stop delays, but tax must be paid and counterfeit must be stopped. Impunity should be discouraged in all areas.
All right, Shiundu Boniface, I'm one of the business merchants who buys goods from Nairobi and sends them to Kisumu to small traders. But it has been hard for me for 4 months because I've not sent any to Kisumu in any of the last month because there are no goods.
All right.
Wow, okay, shortage of goods.
Samuel Oindi says the challenges facing small-scale traders are clearance at the port of entry, stiff competition, inadequate capital incentives, higher taxation. Government should have a conducive and accommodative environment for the business class.
All right, and I'll take the last one. Now, Green Shop EA, when they talk of vetting consolidators, won't this increase delays? we all know most goods come through consolidation. Are there companies who will benefit from this?
Wow. Very serious concerns.
We never win in this discussion. You thought this is a solution. Someone saying, no, look at the companies. Will they benefit from that? Yeah, these are interesting perspectives coming from our viewers. Keep them coming. 224222 is the number we are using. Hashtag is Daybreak at Citizen TV Kenya. Trevor Mbija, Twaiga Moura, Zinzi K. Our guests are still with us. When we come back, we take the final round of comments from all of them and get a few commitments from the Mheshimiwa here. As he goes back to Parliament, he will tell us what he's going to find out and fix. He has written a lot of notes. There's a lot that he's expected to do. We'll make sure he takes them with him when he leaves. Good. All right, see you in just a bit.